Welcome to Squirrel, the podcast for distracted writers, hosted by Candace J. Thomas and Jody L. Milner.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Squirrel. This is Candace.
And this is Jody.
And welcome to episode 19. Now, this is my apology episode because I was so excited about dystopia. But we recorded that before the election.
Yep.
And now I've lost the momentum that I had with dystopia when I'm walking into an unknown future. So
it got a little too real.
Yeah, so we changed it. Totally changed it. Yeah, so now it was kind of like a last minute thing where I thought, well, let's revisit some of the reasons why we're doing this podcast. I thought that would be fun. And some of our accomplishments when we talk about like our specific issues like neurodivergency and dyslexia and stuff. And we talked about that periodically throughout the entire seasons. You know, we've talked about our different issues, but in the first episode, we mentioned why. We mentioned them all, right? Well, that was a kind of a downer episode. It didn't have the same joy.
We were still finding our feet at the time.
Because we're like, what are we doing? We're doing a podcast. Are we supposed to be serious? I don't even know what we're doing. So, yeah, we decided to, I decided we're not going to talk about dystopia. We'll revisit that maybe, depending on where we are in a year or so. We're just going to talk about good stuff. That sound good?
I'm all good with good stuff.
Okay, so we started this podcast first because we're writers. We wanted to share our experiences, but second, because we are squirrely. And hence the whole name and why we really focus on that, because we really are quite squirrely. And there's unique challenges that we have, and I wanted to just revisit this topic. So this week, I thought it would be kind of cool that when this episode airs, I will be flying to New Hampshire.
Yay.
And New Hampshire is where I got my degree. And so if you've been following, you understand that I've been in school for the last couple of years. And I finally achieved my degree. And so I'm walking with my graduating class in New Hampshire. So this has been a huge reflection on how I've gotten through my writing journey, honestly. Like recently this morning I was interviewed by the school because they want to feature me during graduation because they think that my story is really interesting and willing to share it. So that was a little overwhelming. So it just kind of feels a little surreal that I achieved this.
You worked hard, man. You deserved it.
Yeah, it was something else. So I would just want to, Jody, I want you to remind us of the different challenges that you have had to overcome and why you're squirrely.
Why I'm squirrely.
Sure, that's a really good question.
Let's just dive deep right to begin with.
I know.
Thank you.
But don't get too deep. Let's just keep it on the lighter
surface
side.
Level deep. I think we have a surface level question on here.
But I don't want this to be a serious episode. It's just a reflection. It's reminiscing, basically, right?
Okay.
Remind us of some of the challenges that you've overcome. That's in my notes.
Okay, so most people will say I'm not. They'll actually tell me to my face that I'm wrong when I tell people this, but I'm an introvert and I have significant social anxiety. Like going out with people that I'm not familiar with, going out in groups that I've never been out with, going to places I've never been, that I'm trying to figure out, like all of that will make me shut down. And it'll take a lot of energy and I will avoid it. And so like doing the whole writing thing has forced me to...
It does that, doesn't it?
Challenge every
Face
part
those
of
demons.
That anxiety complex because it's all meeting new people and going new places and trying new things and experimenting with things that might fail a lot.
Mm-hmm.
We like the try-fail cycle. We try and we fail. And then we learn. We learn a lot. And this podcast is a perfect example of that because it's like putting your voice out to the world is a whole different flavor of putting yourself out there. Mm-hmm. Like putting your books out. I mean, at least there's some layer of anonymity. Mm-hmm. But with the podcast, people are hearing you, who you really are. And so...
You're getting total raw me. Here.
Yeah.
There's no
and so filter. Yeah, so like doing all this and just kind of being pushed into that limelight all over and over and over again has actually made me a more confident and stronger person. Sure. And it's also been like really cool when you're like, hey, I do this, and people are like, no way, really? And they act really surprised, and like that's kind of nice.
Are you on Spotify? Yes, we are. We're on Spotify, everyone. If you're listening on Spotify. So,
what about you?
I mentioned my dyslexia. Here's the thing about dyslexia that I want to point out is that one of the reasons that I felt it was so important for me to go back to school, because dyslexia really makes you feel dumb. It really talks you down. And it's hard to overcome that when there is a complete disconnect with your grasp of comprehension versus what other people comprehend. So by the time I was published, I felt insecure about my abilities as a writer. I mean, this is imposter syndrome, but to a nth degree. It really, because you are now a peer with people that have MFAs. And people are expecting you to teach classes of things that maybe you don't feel comfortable with teaching because you don't have the confidence level. You didn't take those classes. There are still some things that people mention, oh yeah, well, you're going to do this kind of cycle. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. What book did you read or what class did you go to get this, you know? So that was one of the driving forces for me to go back and get my degree. I can't tell you how big of a challenge that was to overcome. So school told me that I am smart enough and that I have a different way of creation. It's just not the same way of processing things that maybe, regular people might do. But I've learned a way to cope with that and to do with it, to do what I need. And I have a different brain and it's fun. So that's us.
Episode over. We can be done now. No,
end.
Wait, dang, there's more things on here.
I do have another question for you, though, but everyone knows about us. You kind of got used to us if you're, a long-time listener. So I want to go into some of the specifics of what we still find as our biggest challenges. What do you feel is one of the biggest challenges in your life that has helped you become a better writer?
So I had to think about this for a while because it's hard for me to find parallels because I keep on trying to find the perfect answer, and that's also the neurospiciness. But something that's always been a huge challenge for me is just figuring out people. Because I fall on the spectrum. Like, I'm not hugely on the spectrum, but I do fall on the spectrum in the way my brain works. And so, like, I don't feel like I figured out how to interact well with people until I was into my 30s. And that was probably because of the birth of YouTube and being able to just watch normal interactions over and over and over and over and over and over again and being like, oh, that's how that works. Because for me, I've got to see it. Like, I've got to see normal interactions to figure out how normal interactions work. That's a spectrum thing. But because of this, like, I was trying really, really hard for a really long time because I knew it wasn't normal to not be able to figure out people. And so I would overthink and overthink and overthink about how to approach a situation and how to talk to a certain person. And like, I would just overthink it. And I think that gave me an entire repertoire of knowledge that I could draw from when I started building characters, because I'd already overthought all of these different scenarios and situations.
All these questions.
Yeah,
too.
I'd gone through and done all this legwork work that I didn't even realize I was doing just to try to figure out how to person. And when it came time to put that on the page, I think it made it easier. I think it's made me a better writer because of that needing to take very analytical observation of things, because the natural thing that most neurotypical people do when they can figure out what people are kind of feeling by looking at their faces. Like, yeah, I had to figure that out the manual way. I'm like, oh, your eyebrows are raised right now because you're amused or weirded out. Mm-hmm. The blinking's not helping.
See, and I think that it was just when you met me. That's all.
Oh, yeah. You made all the difference.
I did.
All the difference in the
all
world.
your confidence was like right there.
Way to own that. Yes, absolutely. Well, and I think a big part of this was I grew up with a very overbearing mother who criticized every single thing I did. Every interaction I had, she would rip me apart. I mean, she would do it in a very passive aggressive, like kind to your face kind of way. But it was never out of love. It was out of her embarrassment. Mm. And so there was a long time where I felt very insecure with people because I was worried that would happen again. And so I would just pull back. I'm like, if it's going to happen, then screw it. I don't want to do it.
Oh, man, that's sad. I'm sorry.
We love passive-aggressive, toxic people in our lives. It's amazing.
My answer to this question of what has helped me become a better writer is actually reading comprehension, reading more, which I never really read very much. There has been an improvement in fonts, and there are specific fonts that I like better than others. Harry Potter definitely made me a reader, which I think it made a lot of people that weren't readers.
I mean, honestly, Twilight made a lot of people readers too.
That's true.
I'm super grateful for that.
I started though with what I started.
It's the only thing I'm
with
grateful
Harry
for.
Potter, but then I did move to Twilight, and that was a really fun golden time during those early 2000s, right? When it came to really exploding reading and writing as an activity, right? All of a sudden, there's so many writers right now that have been inspired by the things that they read when they were kids.
Oh, absolutely.
And Harry Potter was just one of those things that just drove us to want to be creative and write.
Well, and what's so fascinating is because peopling was awkward for me, I fell into books. And I would literally haul these bookstop tomes with me everywhere I'd go, because if there was a chance of booking versus peopling, yeah, I would choose booking. And I would bring them to orchestra rehearsals, and I'm sure my conductor loved that.
See, no, it's totally the opposite. I'm like, bring on the people. I'm all about the people.
If the second violins had a rest that lasted more than a page, I'm like, I could probably read during that time. Sure.
See, and that's why I was last chair clarinet, because I was chatty. It wasn't because my dad fixed my clarinet and basically ruined it.
No.
But, yeah, don't repad your clarinet if you don't know what you're doing. Okay, so what do you feel that you still struggle with? Try not to make this too sad and personal. I'll go first.
All of these questions are slightly more personal than I'm usually okay with.
Yeah, the thing that I struggle with still is attention. I weirded out by people knowing who I am, or I still don't know exactly how to deal with that kind of attention. I really appreciate, like, anytime anyone comes and talks to me about my books and how much they've meant to them. Like, I had a girl come up to me and she's like going to name her daughter Naomi because she loved the name so much with the character. And isn't that so funny? Because I wanted to name characters, like my children, characters of books that I loved. I was all about naming my son Shay, because I loved Shay Umsford from The Sword of Shannara. Like, I was all in. I didn't have any boys.
Yeah.
But I was all there, ready for it. But so that's the thing that I'm still a little bit timid about. And I don't know if that has to do with me being insecure about my specific talent as a writer, because I didn't have the same education that other people might have had. I don't know when people really like that kind of stuff. That's just a theory. I don't really know.
We're renaming this the insecurity episode.
Insecurity. Yeah, and the whole interview this morning was just like crazy cool. Well, when I'm interviewed there, I'm definitely going to mention the podcast. So hopefully we'll get a whole new rainbow of listeners.
I'm so glad you caught that.
A rainbow of listeners. Yes, we'll get there. What about you? Okay.
Ugh, man, I do still struggle with people, but I'm good at faking it, and I've gotten better at it. But the thing that is hurting my career the most is that I feel like I'm not allowed to spend time or money on the things that could actually make a difference. Like, I still feel like I'm not allowed to do things without permission. But I don't really have anyone I can ask permission for.
You don't have a boss.
I don't have a boss. I mean, I could ask myself, but I already talked to myself enough. So this kind of goes back to how I was raised, too, because my family was really weird about money. And I was like praised for not spending anything and being very thrifty, but I would be criticized anytime I did spend money. And so there was this weird cycle of being praised for not spending it and being criticized for it. So yeah, like I still feel like I need permission for a lot of things. I'm still weird.
You definitely,
about money.
I know that you like goals. So
I do
you
like
should
goals.
put goals, like once you hit this, yes, you can finally do this. I know.
And I finally started giving myself
Advertise
permission.
or something.
I've started earning with my writing in about 2018 because that's when the first book came out. Now, when I say earning, it's going to be peanuts because I actually
You make more money at each book that you...
Yeah, you do make more with each book, but I make the most by doing consulting still.
Mm-hmm.
And so I hadn't spent a cent of it for like 5 years. And I'd worked with this lady who was paying me, a bunch of money an hour to try to solve her problems. But yeah, I didn't spend any of it. And so now this is the first year I've finally given myself permission to do that. And it's been hard because it's just like, I'm going to do it wrong and I'm going to be wasteful. And I hate the idea of being wasteful.
Gotcha. So what are some tools that have helped you with, just dealing with your anxiety, neurodivergency,
my entire
your
pantheon
of
fun.
What has helped you
my
overcome
Skittles rainbow of fun? Journaling, lots of journaling. I journal every morning. It's only 15 minutes.
That's way more than I journal.
But it lets the rage monsters out.
Well, but that's 15 minutes.
I know. I should probably be
lot.
writing books for this time.
Yeah.
I would have had more books done.
Like, my journaling is like, well, today I woke up at like 15, and whatever, and I'm going to do this, and then I end it.
That's
like,
a diary.
It's a journal. It's not a diary. A diary is where you pour out secrets. Don't you know that?
There's different opinions on this because diary means daily, which means what happened today.
Well, I don't like
what semantics
dictate like what happened during the day. Just big important things. Like,
but yeah, the other thing that's helped me is just attending classes that I know I need on topics that are a challenge for me instead of the ones that are fun that sound like I just want to go and enjoy. And also a good community that I can lean on when I need support.
Cool.
And for you, what has helped you?
Yoga.
Yoga's good.
Meditation. I do meditate for 5 minutes a day. That's just in the morning. Poetry. Sans serif fonts. Those are the ones that aren't swoopy and swirly. And fonts that have weight to them.
You like a good chunky font?
Well, no, I like ones that I can see. So they have specific dyslexia fonts and they are heavier in certain places so you can define the letter better. But my brain, when we talk about dyslexia just a little bit, my brain often likes to make up words. It thinks that it sees this thing so I say this thing, but it's not even close to the thing. So there's like 4 different branches of dyslexia, and I don't remember which one, but reading is one of them, but comprehension is where I'm the worst at. So I love music. Holy crap, I love music. I love to play it. I love to sing it. I love to dance to it. It's just, it will make me happy every time, but I will often go to music when I need to, I don't know, recalibrate. Is this even an answer? I don't even know.
Sure.
Okay.
Proud moments.
What's one of your proudest moments?
Proud moments that I've had because of my neurodivergence. All right. So back when I started the idea that I was going to write a book that was going to be part of a series, like that seemed like a really all-encompassing impossible goal. It seemed like something I would probably never get to, and it was one of those pipe dreams. And so that's probably why it took so long. So I'm just like, this is something I'm never meant to finish. So I'm just going to keep chipping away at it. And then, one day it turned into a book, and then the next day it turned into a series. And then, like I never thought I'd get there, but I also don't give up easily. I don't know when to quit.
That. Yeah. Yep.
That's a problem.
It's not
It's a character flaw.
It's not a problem
It's a
at
good
all.
character flaw.
Yeah.
And just finishing it and getting it published was this massive moment of pride where it's just like, I never thought I'd get to that point. And then you kind of have this moment of, now what? Which is a whole different flavor of insecurity. But like, I loved finishing, like the feeling of finishing is amazing. And then having that last book win a really nice award, like that made a lot of things worth it.
You were so shocked.
I was so shocked.
I wish I had a video of that, because I totally remember.
Yeah.
It was pretty awesome. Yeah, I guess I am still stunned that I wrote a trilogy, and I love that. I love it so much. And that I'm still writing. I think this podcast also, is pretty special too. And not to go back and talk about me, but walking across that stage is going to be really weird when I get my diploma, because it's going to be really, it's surreal for me. I've never walked before. That's one of the reasons why we're flying to New Hampshire, because this is an important passage.
Yeah.
And I've never worn a cap and gown. It's going to be interesting. So I'm really so excited. And that is probably one of next to my children, that's the next biggest accomplishment in my whole life. So yeah. What's your takeaway,
My
Jody?
takeaway. So the thing that is hard for us, I think the thing that is hard for anybody, it's not the thing that is easy for us. It's the thing that is hard for us. That's what defines us. And so what you work at the hardest to accomplish, harder than anyone else because your personal challenges makes it even that much harder, that's going to be the thing you're the most proud of. And that's going to be the thing that shapes you as a person. And so I think being very introspective at times and being like, wow, yeah, this is a challenge of mine, but I said, I'm going to work on this and make it better. And like, you can do anything.
That's awesome. I think we should leave right there.
Okay. Click.
I don't have very many finishing thoughts. So I voiced to text this at 1 a.m. Let's see what it says. You know why you're here, because you're like us. There are things in your life that you have overcome or that you feel that you need to overcome. And it's good to know that people like us exist. We are a team, and we are here to help you through that. So if you're ever struggling with something, know that you're not alone. There are people like you, but you were made to do really good things, so we can make great things together. That's pretty good.
Not bad for 1 a.m.
Okay, so listener assignment. I just want you to reflect on some of the challenges that you have overcome that made you a stronger person and stronger writer. And I think people will be surprised by some of the things that we faced and have done and improved our lives. So, yeah, that's it. What's our next episode, Jody? It's yours.
We're going to have a lighthearted, fun episode because we're officially going to be getting into, I don't know if we're officially, no, we are. We're going to be summing up
right before turkey and gravy. That's all I can think of.
We are going to have an episode about things writers are grateful for. So if you are a writer looking to fill out your gift list, or if you are someone who supports a writer in your life and wants to get them gifts, this could be an amazing idea show for you. Hopefully.
We'll see.
I haven't read it yet.
You haven't read my answer yet, so you don't know.
We'll see. If you've felt like anything we said today was remotely helpful to you, remember that we have a Patreon and a Buy Us a Coffee, so any support is much appreciated. As always, like and subscribe and share.
Thanks, guys, for being here with us.
It's been fun.
Thank you for listening to the Squirrel Podcast for the Distracted Writer with Candace J. Thomas and Jody L. Milner. Please like and subscribe to our podcast for updates and new episodes, and find more information at our website, squirrelpodcast.com. Stay distracted, everyone.
As always, like, surprise. Like, yeah.
What was that?
That was me trying again.